The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster by, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Max Radio. We're open line through till 1 o'clock today, so it's up to you. What do you want to talk about? Police have released further details following that serious incident on the Ballown course. A rider and a marshal have sadly lost their lives following a serious incident. Now, police would like any information if they're appealing if you were present at the time or feel you may be able to assist. Contact police headquarters on 631212, 631212. The area was well attended by members of the public who were watching the races, and officers have already spoken to a number of people regarding what they saw. It is likely that there are people who witnessed or who have video footage of the incident itself who police are yet to identify and make contact with. They would like to hear from you. 631212. And of course, our thoughts go out to the relatives and friends of the deceased. Both were males. No further details about identities have been released. Let's get to the lines now, and Wilf's with us first of all. Hi, Wilf.
Hi, it's a bit of good news for a change. I was on Monday and I give the same story, but the only thing is they got mixed up with Laxey. Somehow, I don't know how. But what it is the Ramsey Raft is ready. It's been repaired.
When's it going to be launched, Wilf?
Well, that's the thing, you see. Now it's up to the commissioners to get it launched, get it sorted. It's ready to go.
Fantastic.
And they've got Kell Construction to thank for that. I can not tell me, ask me what the initials mean, but it's Kell Construction.
So where's the raft? Where's it sitting at the moment?
At the moment, it's sitting at the back of, near the bakery. It's actually near Ramsey Bakery. They've got the yard there, and it's sitting in the yard there, and that's where it was repaired. It's got to be took from there and took down to the promenade, and then they'll have to be put out then with a long neck loader onto the beach and shackle it up again. Right.
Okay. Well, the schools break up a week tomorrow, I think. No, a week Friday. Yeah.
That's it. That's what we were aiming for.
Oh, well, that's fantastic news. Well, the good thing is it's now been done. It now needs to be launched and fastened down and what have you.
That's the one. That's the one.
Good. And will you be out there having a swim, Wilf?
No, I've been bedbound, if you like, for 3 weeks now.
I hear you've been recuperating, Wilf, so all the very best.
Now, where did you hear that I was recuperating?
Oh, I get emails from everybody, Wilf. All sorts of emails and phone calls.
Okay, well, if they can find out what I was recuperating from, that would be good.
All right. All the best. Thanks, Wilf.
Okay, all right.
Cheers. Well, we'll see when the Ramsey Raft actually gets launched. But the important thing is schools break up week on Friday, 21st of July. So hopefully it's going to be in place by then because it'll get a lot of use this summer. Talking of schools, by the way, this coming Friday, day after next, we're going to be live at Ballacameen High School in Douglas. Our final schools broadcast of the year from the students of Ballacameen this coming Friday, the 14th. And Betty's on. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Andy. I'd just like to say a few words about the 3-month holiday that the MHKs are proposing to take.
Yeah.
I would say to them, go ahead, because nobody will notice.
I think they'll probably say there may be no sittings of Tynwald and Quays, but they'll tell you they do work.
I still have to believe that. Anyway, I think we have too many MHKs. We don't need 24. It's far too many for an island of this size. That's what I believe. And
how many do you think we should actually have, Betty?
Well, I think 12 might do it. 12.
Interesting. Okay, all right. Thanks for that, Betty.
Okay,
Good to
thank
hear.
you.
All right, good to hear from you. So what do they do? Do you remember David Ashford was on a couple of weeks ago talking about what MHKs do during the summer? Well, they call it a recess. How much holiday they actually take, we don't quite know. David's on now. Hi, David.
And maybe if David's listening, he can look at that lane still not done in Willaston.
Whose responsibility is that? Is that the council, is it?
Well, the city now. The city needs to step up to the mark and say they did it wrong. In my opinion, and Mr. Thomas hasn't explained it on that, or any of the officers, how can you close a public lane, A, without having consultation, and then B, putting it in the paper?
New listeners start here. Whereabouts is the lane, from where to where?
Willaston Crescent. I used to be a Willaston boy, so I know, and I left when I got married when I was 21, went to Wonkin. So in Willaston Crescent, and it goes over to Johnny Watson's Lane, there was a shortcut through instead of going through the Brule Road there, the long way round. And I don't know why, a previous minister, and I'll name him Mr. Krukel, gave us assurance it was going to get sorted. Oh, somebody's trying to ring me on the phone, but it's all right. I'll put it in the bin. What I wanted to talk about, Andy, was in the Courier there on page 11, when we've lost the registrar, the commissioner, Registrar Ian, and the government have been reprimanded by the registrar service there for breaches of data protection. So I wonder what's going on in the Cabinet Office. And all these government departments that's not been doing things right, and it would be nice sometimes to have, maybe if Ian's not around anymore now, there must be an assistant in there that can explain to us, Joe Public.
It may be Skeet, but I heard the assistant was going as well.
Well, is there something going on? That's the problem with the Isle of Man, isn't it? We know what's happening. I think Ian's, I don't know whether I'll be good to him. I don't think he's 60 odd. Anyway, and you have to go to about 68 now before you can retire, isn't it? Or maybe 65 as a civil servant. But I always found the gentleman was great. You could walk over, talk to him, he'd give you advice and stuff like that. So I just wonder what's going on within central government at the minute, when there's not much A coming out, and then B, they'll be all on holiday shortly, and it is a holiday, and then especially when some of the political members are not actually in a department. So what are they doing? Are they wandering around the constituency? I don't think that's going to happen. Some of them may do, but maybe it's going to happen that they want the canvass early before the election. And I was listening to them talking about the summer recess, or the recess that they do have. It was definitely down when farmers there, agricultural time. So maybe we should look at their terms and conditions of employment.
I mean, I'll ask you then. I mean, in your experience, what did you do during the summer recess?
Well, I had a small holiday, but that was always on the Isle of Man, and most of my time was doing trying to get the field ready in Blackberry Lane. And listen, we've got the panels running. I'm waiting for the MEA to sort the refund back on me 4 pence to get the money back on it. And all these green issues, what I can't understand is, and I wish I'd put some of these petitions out to the Hill there, is if you're an organisation or a club or a society or whatever, because you're not a homeowner, why can't you claim? If you're going to put a load of panels on the roof and save electricity, isn't that the thought or the guts of the scheme?
Well, surely they should be making this easy. Surely it should be really simple. If you want to do it, there should be, a form you fill in, the equipment you get, and then off you go. Surely it should be that easy.
Yeah, well, it should be, but I'm hoped that I'll be proved wrong in the future. But they don't seem to be getting over the mark. We haven't started, have we? We're in the race. We haven't got our kit on to get over the line and start running.
I think you're right. Some people will say we haven't even got our shoes on.
Well, that's right. And there's no direction. What the public out there want, and I want too, I'm one of them, is some direction, which way we're going. I believe we're going to go. It's going to be electricity. Don't forget the planning thing comes in August, isn't it? I think this year.
Oh, it is.
Fossil fuel boilers, you can't have any. I'd love some of the businesses to come on and find out what they're going to try and sell us for heating. Thicker jackets, maybe thermal underwear and stuff like that.
Hats.
Well,
we'll all get a free hat.
Believe it or not, wearing a hat, somebody told me years ago, 2/3 of the warmth goes out of your head. And I've got plenty of hair. I've not got plenty of hair, but I've got enough hair anyway. But those that don't have any hair, who are bald, definitely wear a hat, don't they, in the winter? I've got a few bubble hats.
Good to hear from you, David.
Mate.
Thanks for calling today. All right. Cheers now. And Vernon's with us now. Hi, Vernon. Yes. Oh, we found Vernon. Yes. Hi, Vernon.
Hi, Andy. I'd just like to compliment the Steam Packet Company on the 2 sailings of which we've had over this last weekend. The Wednesday sailing to Liverpool at 7:15, I think it was, and coming back on the 7:15 from Liverpool on the Sunday. Their staff, I have a problem, as I think you know, with my hip, and the staff were more than helpful getting from the car deck up and into one of the areas, and the same thing happened on the way coming back. And the Filipino girls were and the boys, I don't know what nationality they were, but they were absolutely delightful. They were so helpful it was untrue.
Well, very happy to put that on record. I'm sure it's the overwhelming majority of people have a good experience with the Steam Pack, but we're happy to put that on record, Vernon. Thanks for calling.
Yes, and I would just like to go on board or have an open day on the new Manxman. That would be delightful.
Okay, thanks, Vernon.
Thanks, Sandy. Bye.
All right, good to hear from you. Well, this our new boat, by the way, there are a few people have gone on board. I've not received my invitation. I'm sure it's been lost in the post. So, but apparently the new boat, the new Manxman, is absolutely stupendous. David mentioned this data breach in a number of government departments and public authorities, an investigation. The Information Commissioner has confirmed, this is the Information Commissioner that's left, has confirmed a senior officer in Cabinet Office accessed personal data in the system used to record and manage freedom of information requests.
The Information Commissioner launched the investigation after it received a personal data breach report from the Department of Health and Social Care regarding a senior officer in the Cabinet Office. It is confirmed that between the 1st of April 2022 and the 22nd of March 2023, that individual accessed the personal data contained in over 540 FOI requests made to 20 separate public authorities on more than 1,200 occasions. The information viewed relates to both the detail of the request and the name, address and contact details of the requester. The Office of Cybersecurity and Information Assurance has confirmed that no personal information has been viewed by any individual outside of the public service or transferred outside of the government network. This has led to the assessment that the risk to the rights and freedoms of data subjects is low. The full list of affected public authorities is available at manxradio.com. Anyone who submitted an FOI request to any of them during the dates highlighted and wishes to find out whether they've been impacted should contact the public authority directly.
It's 21 minutes past 12. Juan's on now. Hi, Juan.
How are you today, Andy?
Good, thank you. Yes, very good.
Did you have a couple of days off? Did you have to take that suit back from Timbal's?
It was yes, I did actually. It was a very heavy suit.
I was impressed. He must have been the best dressed one on the field. The last time I seen a suit like that, it was a professional mourner in front of the horse-drawn hearse in London. You looked the part, Andy.
Anyway, that wasn't what you called.
And did you see the fireworks the other night for the steam packet? That was great. The boat, a fantastic display.
No, I didn't see them.
Didn't you? Oh, there was a really good display, actually. I think it was Galaxy Fireworks that done it. I think that beat the fireworks. I think the last good fireworks display we had was the Rosalind Ransom case. I mean, it's been great fireworks, that was. I'm just looking at the job advert for the new Information Commissioner. And it's, what does it say in the paper? English not required.
Well, maybe they'll speak Manx.
Well, maybe, yeah. I doubt that, though. But English not required. That's an unusual one, isn't it? Just wondering where our government are heading with all this kind of stuff. If you don't require English to be the Information Job Commissioner, that's quite strange, isn't it?
Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of code they'll operate in.
Yeah, well, government seem to be working on some code at the moment that none of us seem to understand. That's for sure. I'm just looking at a report there of EasyJet as well, and they're going to be the bastions of sustainability. So probably we might be ending up having more flight cancellations as time goes by. As soon as Bonzo said, it's going to be painful for us to move into this new world. So watch this space for that one.
Well, I think we need to watch the space with EasyJet. They're losing roughly £1 million a day. So that's not terribly sustainable. I mean, it's only, in aviation terms, £350 million a year loss is not enormous, but it's not something you want as an overall trend.
No, it's not. And as time goes on, looking at again, we talk about the Arab reports and stuff like that, flying and regional airports is not in their agenda for the future. So, maybe they're not too bothered about them route. Maybe that's the way that they want it to go. I just listened to Wolf there. Is it Kell Properties that put the swimming pad up in Ramsey? Is that the same people that put the toilets up for the campsite in Sulby, I think, isn't it?
I think it is, yes.
Yeah, no, fair play to, people standing out and doing stuff for the community. And I think that's the same people that have got the site on the quay, isn't it, as well? They're having problems with the planning, the Osborne site.
Sounds like it as well. But I think the guy who did the toilets was Gary. I think Kell Properties are doing aren't they doing a big development on Derby Square? I think.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's good that the companies have put something back into the local community. So that's me for today. I've got a dash waiting for a plane to come in. Oh,
that's it. The Manx train spotters. You'll grow old becoming a Manx Manx air spotter.
Yes, Logan Air's on time. I'm ready.
Jolly good. Thanks, Dewan. Good to hear from you. It's 24 minutes past 12 on Manx Radio. I just wonder what your thoughts are then regarding this. Maybe recess is not the proper term for it. At Tynwald members, obviously that includes Keys and Ledgco, got their final session. The break was, the recess was to enable farmers to bring in the harvest. Not that many farmers in Tim. I can't think of anybody, really. Tim Johnson had farming connections, but an extension of the parliamentary year was one of the suggestions from the Standing Orders Committee, which was debated at length just over a month ago. What do you think about this? Apparently, while I was away, wallabies were the topic of conversation. Am I right?
Hello. It's to do with the wallabies that have now increased their range of where they are penetrating the uplands. I actually have video of a wallaby bouncing in front of me along the Benny Pot Road. It's about time that we stop treating like with kid gloves, and we need to trap them and put them back into the wildlife park or euthanize them, because the damage they are causing to the ecology of the uplands, the ecology of the wetlands, it's a DEFRA problem, and they are responsible for managing and retaining carbon capture. But the wallabies now are they are becoming uncontrollable, and they're diseased. So if you could possibly mention this, I know it's one of these sensitive subjects where people think they are fluffy little things, but they are causing considerable damage now. And if they're up the uplands, up Penny Pot Road, then they'll be in your gardens, they'll be in all the scientific areas of scientific interest. And it's about time that they were treated as vermin, is what they are.
Okay, what do you think about this? Is it time to get rid of the wallabies or round them up? Get them back into the place from whence they came, back into the plaque at Belaf. Is that the time to do it? Let's get them in there where they came from. If they are doing damage to the ecology of the Isle of Man, particularly into the wetlands, is it time to do the right thing? We have a happy accident of nature. Okay, the wildlife park had a couple, 40 odd years ago, maybe more, and they bred and bred and bred. So technically, really, by definition, they are inbred. So there may be some problems with them. I don't know what you think about it. They do provide stock footage for every Australian TV crew that comes to the Isle of Man, particularly during TT and Grand Prix. The Australians will always be in the currachs getting shots of the Manx wallabies. So is it time to put all that to one side and put the pink and fluffy image of the wallabies to one side and the cuddly image? Is it time to get rid of them? Because they're not native, and if they are doing damage to our ecology and to our ecosystems, they weren't invited. Well, they were invited. They were invited to the wildlife park, but they weren't invited to abscond. And they have, and obviously if you live elsewhere around, if you're not from the north of the Isle of Man, it's not something that will ever, apart from perhaps them leaping out in front of you at night on the road, what do we do about them? Do we round them up, ship them back to Belaf, or that lady said euthanise them?
Serving the island for an impressive 45 years, it's now been 30 years since B&B Furniture opened the doors on our fantastic mega store. And to celebrate, we're offering up to 30% off in the fabulous B&B Furniture summer sale. Call in store and find huge offers in every department, from kitchens and bedrooms to dining furniture and sofas, with up to 30% off across the store. And no deposit required when you take advantage of 3 years interest-free credit. The B&B Furniture Summer Sale, now on.
Construction waste today.
Tells recycle for another day.
A builder skip or two.
Tells Skips will bring to you.
At Tells Skip Hire and Waste Disposal in Snugborough, you only pay for the waste you bring. For waste disposal and skips, give us a call on 677 137. That's 677 137. Visit Tells today or find Tells Limited on Facebook.
Call Tells Skips today.
677 137.
Divorce can be intimidating when you share so much with your spouse. Property, pension, children. Perhaps you share a business or have assets in more than one country. You need a lawyer with experience in settling all these issues effectively. Simcox Advocates will represent your interests with strength, skill and compassion in and out of court. You want Simcox on your side. Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com.
Half a century on from the fatal inferno that destroyed Summerland, a series of 3 programmes on Manx Radio.
When I saw the fire actually start, there was a small puff of grey smoke that came from a hut alongside of it.
Why was Summerland built? A multi-million-pound solarium on a small island of hills, glens and beaches.
This is William Hardcastle, and later in today's Word at One, why did Summerland burn so fiercely and so cruelly?
What happened on that August night?
Oh, there's fire brigade at the top now. There's another fire engine coming along. Here comes the police now.
And what now? Where does Manx tourism go from here? Summerland, the full story, coming soon.
This is the Isle of Man talking, the Mannin Line.
Faster Mai, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. I mentioned that we're live at Ballacameen this coming Friday. I don't know whether you were listening last Thursday. I was away after Thursday, but Teresa Cope was on from Manx, and I just wonder whether there was anything that Teresa Cope mentioned that you'd like to come back on. Good news is Tremode Road is open now. Apparently the roadworks on Tremode Road have finished early. Well done. So everything is fine now at Tremode Road. The Castletown Raft isn't going this year, apparently, says Texter 948. Does anybody know about the loungers on the new boat? I've looked at the booking and it looks like the only loungers, excluding the pet lounge, are an extra cost. They haven't put up the cost yet. They don't know, this person doesn't know what it is. Also raises the question about capacity. If you don't pay for a seat, are you going to be able to get one in the busy times? Says Julie, thanks for that. Maybe we'll get some information from the steam packet. Excellent series on the steam railway. Mike Buttle from Manx Radio has got a series about the railways. You can go to the podcast and check that out. People aren't just wearing enough hats, says Nick. We should all get a free hat. The plant at Albert Tower is wild grass and nothing that's been planted purposely. You'll find it in most glens, says Peter. That's the Big John who called yesterday about the plant at Albert Tower. Why have the steam packet replaced UK staff with Filipino workers on the Manxman and Mannin? Says Texter 223. Well, presumably they made a commercial and personnel decision. So we'll see what happens for that. If MHKs can take 3 months off without anybody noticing, says Roy B., I don't think, I mean, I know we do like to rib MHKs occasionally, but I don't think they actually take 3 months off. I think they probably do some work. They are in committees and they do deal with constituents. But anyway, a trial of green hydrogen boilers has been abandoned at Whitby. Crazily, they needed gas-fired electricity to produce the hydrogen, says G. The Isle of Man Heritage Independent Review and Economic Impact Assessment public consultation closes on the 23rd of August. If it's something you'd like to get involved in, the Isle of Man Heritage Independent Review and Economic Impact Assessment. Snappy title, eh? Public consultation closes on the 13th of August. Surely that lady's complaining because the wallabies are going into her garden, says Texter 223. Well, presumably she's entitled to 223. Perhaps you might complain if wallabies came into your garden. What would you do? Give them a sandwich. I can only agree with your caller who praised the help given to him by the steam packet staff. Says Caroline, my husband has limited mobility and poor vision. The help we were given on boarding and disembarking when travelling from Liverpool at the weekend was caring and attentive by all concerned. So let's give them a bit of support and praise rather than unfair criticism they have to endure. Well, I don't think they get criticism from us. Well, not unfair criticism. The wallabies are causing absolutely no problems whatever. Cats cause more problem to wildlife, killing birds and small mammals all day, and nobody says a word. Well, they kill longtails, don't they? So leave the wallabies alone and stop being so ridiculous. Off-road motorbikes cause more damage to the greenways than wallabies ever could. Following the serious incident that occurred during the final lap of last night's practice session, the Southern 100 have confirmed the remainder of the event is now cancelled. It was due to finish tomorrow. The clerk of the course has taken the decision to cancel the remainder of the Southern 100 2023 due to the ongoing investigations, and this continues to be the priority of the organisations. So you heard it here. The rest of the Southern 100 2023 is off. And text and email and call. So leave the peaceful wallabies alone, says Pammy. And does the caller have evidence that the wallabies are diseased, says Carol. I don't think they've been to see a GP, put it that way, or a vet, although it is easier to see a vet than a GP. So maybe there's a theory in there somewhere. Maybe the government should bounce the topic of wallabies around next sitting. Thank you. Good to hear from you, Eric. Thanks for that. I was driving north on Friday, spotted a group of wallabies hanging around drinking White Lightning and dropping disposable vapes on the ground. You see, once you let them get their foot through the door, 970, Nick, that's what you get. Badly behaved wallabies. When the electorate vote at an election, they're just voting people into a good job. And in most cases, doubling their salaries. Cheap pension, more holidays than a school teacher, says John. Must be crackers voting for this. For then the person you voted for does nothing in their manifesto. Hey, John, maybe you should try for the job if it sounds so good. In most cases, doubling their salaries. Well, no, not really. Not in all cases. Some people lose money by becoming an MHK. Some people actually get into public life. But, I mean, that's your opinion, John, 404, and you're very much entitled to it. I'd be more worried about the wetlands than the wallabies as they've drained out in Sulby. Possibly, is it for a development? There aren't any birds around Sulby, and DEFA don't seem to be interested, says Crystal. Save the dancing wallabies. We damage the environment, not just the wallabies. I was sad to hear your caller's views. There'd be nothing alive if we thought like that caller, says Lucy. Well, it's the caller's opinion. She maintains the wallabies are damaging our precious wetlands and the ecostructure. Remember, we've got, we're a biosphere. Whether the wallabies may be the weak link in the chain, we may be having to do something about the wallabies. Do you think we should, or do you appreciate having wallabies? It is very much a talking point, having wallabies on the Isle of Man. The new pavements in Peel have cut out so many parking places. This is part of a war on motorists, particularly in Peel, says Alan. If you're a Western resident and a driver, how have you found the new pavements and the parking? Just to reiterate, by the way, if you only heard half of it, the rest of the Southern 100 is cancelled because of the serious incident that occurred during the final lap of last night's practice session. Sadly, 2 people lost their lives, and the rest of the Southern 100 is now cancelled. You text, you email, you call, you WhatsApp, you get in touch, and did the steam packet company pay NI and tax in the Isle of Man for the crew, or is it going to the UK because the crew are normally resident in Liverpool, says G. Don't know, G. We don't quite know, but it is our steam packet. Do you think it's important that that happens? I was urgently referred to the ophthalmologist on November 4th last year, says Joe. November 4th, 2022. After several calls to Nobles, I contacted 642 to see if they could move things along, only to be advised it's going to be another 3 months before I'm seen. Has anybody else got that sort of experience? And Helen said humans do far more damage to the natural world than wallabies ever could. So don't call them vermin. That's horrible. I was talking about long term. Oh, no, she called them vermin, didn't she? Well, it's that lady's opinion. Let Skippy be. They're Manx now. So maybe there's a Manx word for what we should actually call them. The flight issues need solving sooner rather than later, says Joe. Very costly for businesses. Also, why are our politicians and civil servants enforcing and implementing draconian and Orwellian rules and regulations as dictated by the World Economic Forum? There they go again. That World Economic Forum concentrating on the Isle of Man, because the wealthy members of this cult haven't been voted in or part of our established traditions and way of life. Does anybody represent the World Economic Forum in Tynwald? Have they done that? I didn't notice that during the election. Seems they want to keep us in perpetual debt and poverty, just looking for opinions. Joe, what do they all think? The coroner inquest has been formed, by the way, and of course I mentioned a few moments ago that the rest of the Southern 100 is cancelled because of what happened yesterday. So the coroner is going to get involved, and obviously people may have been arriving for the last couple of days for the Southern 100, but that is the situation. The rest of the Southern 100 has been cancelled. Wallabies are great. Maybe we should try and breed them with Manx cats, says Tom. That borders on cruel, to be quite honest, but thanks for getting in touch anyway. You text, you email, you call, and I got loads of WhatsApps to get to as well for today. Wallabies are great. We should try and breed them. We shouldn't euthanize the wallabies because they're not native. They've been in the wild now for over 40 years. Should we be euthanizing troublesome people? I don't think there may be some false equivalents in there, but hey-ho. But do you think, Graham, all I'd ask you, Graham, is that if one of them came bouncing into your garden and, straight into your greenhouse, or maybe started eating your roses, would you have the same opinion about them? Should we get rid of the wallabies? Could be an election issue, you never know. I can't make any sense of the bus times around the Southern Hundred. I know it's been cancelled, but the timetables is a shambles once you actually find the timetable on the transport website, says Scott. That wallaby group that was seen drinking by your listeners were overhead. Wallaby? 2 pints of lager? Well, perhaps. In the UK, they cull deer to keep them... That's very true, they do. They cull deer to keep them under control. So culling of wallabies should be no different. It's actually not cruel. So do you think they need to decide... We could have a Tynwald committee, couldn't we, on what's the optimum number of wallabies? What's the size of the herd of wallabies that we should have in the north of the Isle of Man? You never know. I mean... It's, what is it, 545 did they see? I mean, within 5 years, you could be 1,000 wallabies, They could start organising themselves. There could be a union of wallabies.
When couples decide to part, there's a lot to deal with. There's the matter of the children, the matter of your property, the matter of pensions. You need to consider the matter of existing wills, and perhaps the matter of a business. And because you matter, Man Benham Advocates are here for you when it comes to divorce and family matters. For help and advice and a free initial consultation, call Man Benham on 639 350.
Man Benham, here for you. Every drop is precious. Water. So easy to take it for granted, isn't it? Our reservoirs supply the needs of our island, but with the effects of climate change, that's becoming more challenging every year. Manx water is the only water we have, so we need to make every drop count by using it wisely, at home, in the garden, and in general. Visit manxutilities.im to find out how you can begin smarter living, to lower energy bills and reduce your impact on our island environment.
In our quest to remove all single-use plastic from our milk packaging, Isle of Man Creamery cartons, including the new 1.75 litre carton, are now 100% recyclable, made from sustainable and renewable sources. We're the first in the British Isles to offer these new large cartons, and you can pick them up now in local retailers or add them to your Isle of Man Creamery doorstep delivery. Plant-based cartons from Isle of Man Creamery. Better for the environment, better for you.
The 2023 Island Games are underway in Guernsey, and we're bringing you the action as Team Isle of Man looks to battle for glory. We've got coverage running right now and throughout the event, including news, interviews and videos, and our live Island Games blog, bringing you results and updates as and when they happen. So wherever you are, keep right up to date with the 2023 Island Games here on Manx Radio, on air, online at the Manx Radio Sports Hub on manxradio.com and via the Manx Radio Sport Facebook page.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster my good afternoon. Yes, a bit, apparently they call the Manx name for a wallaby. Thank you, 713. Once we start doing this, I've got land and I've got wallabies. No damage whatsoever, says Texter 555. What do they do? What do they eat, by the way? What do wallabies eat? Leave the wallabies alone, says Fred. Says a note, I shouldn't really tell you this, but I will anyway. And it was Sharon who said, I've got the answer for this. Wallaby burgers. We should, if you're going to cull wallabies, at least do something with it. The Manx wallaby burger. I don't know about that, I'll be honest with you. And Nick, thanks for your... wallabies are great with a nice Chianti. Nothing wrong with wallabies. Seagulls are more of a problem. We should cull the seagulls, says John. Well, do you remember there was that message we got a while back saying that the gulls were actually under threat because we've taken all the herring? And that's why they keep nipping over to Peel outside Davison's and nicking people's ice creams. The answer, says 535, is to neuter the males. Just get the vets involved, neuter the males, and there you are. You sterilise the population. It's true about the wallabies being driven out of their environment by the same people who are driving away our birds, which aren't coming anymore. Because the wetlands have been drained off at the Currachs. Very concerning. So I just wonder what the government's plan, this is text to 600, what is the government's plan allowing the draining of the Currachs to happen? We love our wetlands, yet they want to stop campers. Is there something fishy about this, says Manx Will? Is this, surely they don't want to get rid of the wetlands. We should release a few more wallabies to help them survive. Definitely not a cull, says Peter. The wallabies are great to see. These people who say wallabies don't do any harm to the Isle of Man, says Phil, are they qualified in making such comments about what is an invasive species? Wallabies, certainly, I mean, it's the others, they're Antipodean, aren't they? They're certainly, there are no native Manx marsupials. It's time to take wallabies out of the natural environment, just put them back in the wildlife park. They've been interbreeding for 40 years, so will be very poor specimens. Blindness is a tendency because of this. So, do the pro-wallaby experts think it's actually kind to let them carry on like this? Well, it will be a very shallow gene pool. Not being a wallaby expert, presumably any vet listening will know about this, is if there's a shallow gene pool for the wallabies, what's it going to bring out on them? What about the goats at Laxey? Do we cull them? Welcome back. Have you heard anything more about Kroger? It's gone very quiet. Have they decided $6 billion to the Treasury isn't worth it yet? Says Mark. We'll try and find out, really, what's going to happen with Kroger, because the situation, well, on either side, really. I mean, I've no doubt there's stuff going on behind the scenes with Kroger and with the government, but we don't quite know what it is that's being said or where we as the public stand, and whether or not we're going to get something out of this, whether or not our hard-pressed coffers are going to be flooded with cash. It in itself is going to be years away. Let's get that straight. It's going to be years before anything happens. So we wait and we watch and we see. I've had loose cows and sheep in our garden and managed to survive a wallaby hopping around the marigolds. So it's not a big deal. Probably me, but there's millions of wallabies and kangaroos in Australia, and people manage to live with them. So a few hundred here is not a problem. It's not a pandemic, says Dick. So given our MHKs needing a 3-month rest, maybe the wallabies can take over in Tynwald. I'm sure I voted for one last time. Thank you, Dick. Jed's with us now. Hi, Jed.
Hi, Andy. I want to discuss the subject of culling, but not the wallabies. Maybe a way that we could reform government. There was some chat earlier on about reducing the number of Parliament people and so forth, and it's just a thought I've had about the next election. I'm just wondering if you're interested.
Go ahead, yes, love to.
So what would happen if you got 24 like-minded people who were perhaps a little bit dissatisfied, like many of us are, about the performance of the government at the moment, but about the bloated nature of it and all the other issues that are coming to a head at present, and they were called, say, the Government Reform Party. And the mandate was a pledge just to be in office for, say, 9 months, 12 months. And their sole purpose was really to reduce the size of government and to have an MLC structure that was publicly elected. So it could be that the mandate was to reduce the size of government, say, by 50%. So you have 12 MHKs and subsequently save millions in all the costs associated with that. I was just wondering whether the public would have an appetite to do that, because the current MHKs is the old turkeys voting for Christmas scenario. But I'm just thinking, if the Isle of Man public has had enough, maybe at the next election, if you just put this one up for discussion, would they vote for a reform that would just be mandated to say, have a time limit of about, say, 9 months, 12
And is
months
this,
to get it
you're
through.
wanting to get rid of or to reduce the number of elected representatives or government civil servants in general?
Oh, no, elected representatives, absolutely.
Right.
I think it's no surprise, is it, that, we're a little bit top-heavy on governance, but not just in the House, but right across the local authorities. I think we've got is it about over 120 local authority representatives? So it was a little bit too generous, really, on that front here. I know there's arguments for and against, but I think at this current time, with the economy and all the pressures that it's got, it's perhaps worth considering. So just having in this intervening period from the election, if they did have a majority, they would be able to make changes swiftly about how we govern, all these issues that come up about MLCs and how they're appointed. But also, maybe as a sideline, just have a pledge to open up the accountability of government, just report, what exactly is going on between departments, how departments are run, make it purely open and transparent, and just really set out a new stall, a new dawn, as it were, for a subsequent election within the year. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with the same old that's been rolling round and round, for a number of years. And I think the quality of what we've got and what the output is certainly questionable at present.
I think all this comes to the fore, Jed, because we're in tough times, don't they say? When the financial tide goes out, everybody sees what's on the beach. By the same token, a rising tide floats all boats. So we always talk about political reform when times are hard.
I'll argue that, Andy. We're living on an island where we've got full employment and we've got an economy that isn't quite tanking, but the money's being directed the wrong way. We've got an island where we've got massive public expenditure in the wrong places. We're reaping some horrific decisions in the health service, as you know, the airport, the mismanagement there, and the state of our infrastructure. You just look around. This isn't really about the economy at present. I'd say we just need to be a bit more smarter and a bit more cleverer about how we do things. But at the moment, we just seem to be stuck, and there's no one stepping up. There's no one who's acting as a leader to sort this out. It all goes very quiet.
So what you'd be talking about, would you be talking about creating a once only a time-limited political party almost?
I'd say it's a group of like-minded people who perhaps can see through all this that reform is needed, and it won't happen under the current legacy, the type of administration that we have. It's just an idea. I think it's a talking point. I'm not, what can I say, sold on it, but it certainly needs discussing, because otherwise we're not really going to enjoy any great changes, and we've got some huge challenges ahead. I think we just go back to the economy and how that's managed, and the likes of, say, the reason why we do have great difficulties is our attitude to property and land, and the fact that our young people, our young workers, they're leaving the island because they can't afford housing, and the way the property is being split and built, and the fact that we've got high net worths, I've said it before, who own 300 properties. This isn't good. It's not necessary for our island.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about this in the future, Jed, because certainly politics in general, the democratic process always needs refreshing, and good that we talk about it. Thanks for that, Jed.
Thank you.
Good to hear from you. Let's go to, let's see, can we find, I don't know, hey, Tommy, how are you?
Hello. Are you, Andy?
How are you, Tommy? You're live on the air.
You're on some phones as well now, mate.
Yes.
I hope you're getting an extra thing for that, lolly for that, mate.
Why is that?
Well, you answer phones as well. That's a bit of a come down, isn't it?
Well, I don't know about that.
But listen, Andy, I'm just saying, how many children between 3 and 8 were watching that firework display, Andy? And the answer probably is, probably 0.
Right.
So That's why the whole thing is pointless. Listen, in these times of austerity, why didn't they pick relevant charities to give the money to? That would have been a great help for them, Andy. I mean, how much did it cost, Andy? Was it 40,000, 70,000?
Well, I don't think it was 70,000, but no, it was a big firework display. But, I mean, don't you think a firework display makes everybody feel good?
No, it doesn't make me... It starts me coughing every bad chest, Andy. You know, no, it doesn't make anybody feel good. Why didn't you do a light display, and then you wouldn't have been polluting the atmosphere then?
Maybe one of those big drone displays or something like that.
Oh, no, you don't want that, Andy.
Okay.
What you mean you're going to be up one of the drones, Andy?
Okay, thanks for that. I don't know about that. Maybe that's the future. We'll have drone displays. Some of them are very impressive. Back with an open line tomorrow for Thursday and Friday live from Ballacameen High School. And a date for your diary, a week next Tuesday the 25th, the Chief Minister is going to be on Mannin Line. Alfred Cannon MHK will be on Mannin Line Tuesday 25th of July. That's it. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phone. Stick around for Christy D. I'll be back tomorrow at high noon at the home of the halfway horse tramp.
WINT